My name is Guilherme from the south of Brazil. I want to share something about our culture and talk about Brazilian indigenous constellations and storytelling. So we have a lot of documents saying how important is protect traditional knowledge and indigenous culture. And But last year, it was the International Year of Indigenous Languages. And I found some interesting information about that 96% of the world's languages are spoken by only 3% of the world's population. So we have a huge number of languages that are disappearing as their culture also disappear. And I will come back to this later. Talking about Brazilian indigenous population, we have to keep in mind that they are very different. I'm gonna talk to you some of the different cultures, but we have to keep in mind that they are really different. So what we see in one tribe, we don't see in another tribe. And another important information is that Brazil is a little part of Brazil is in the northern hemisphere, and it extends to 32 degrees to the south. So we have a huge difference from climate and forest and everything from north to south. This map here, just to show how people are distributed in our country. And I am here, this green space here, only 60 kilometers from Uruguay. There are some works on the traditional indigenous. What I'm talking here is I got from these works. I just got an information that my internet is unstable too. If it disappears, just let me know, please. So one of the tribes I would like to mention is the Tupinambás, just to talk a little bit of what we found from them is that they consider and other tribes here too, the sky just one part of the nature. So nature is one thing with the sky included on it. And we can find some information about the sun, the moon, and here to example that Coaraci is the sun, is a woman. In Portuguese, we don't have the neutral. We have men and women for everything, male and female. So the sun is the animals, and Jaci, the moon, the vegetables. So the difference from the sun and the moon, and it appears in other cultures too. We have some constellations that are pretty similar to the traditional ones, to the Greek constellations. And here, one example of the urubu. It's a black bird, big black bird, and they are related to the seasons. But again, In the north of Brazil, the seasons, I used to say that they are split in two seasons. One that rains and the one that it rains a lot. In the Amazon forest is, and here where I live, we have seasons that are split in summer very hot and winter it's cold. And during this period, it's a crazy time that we have 30 degrees last week, and we are going to have 0 degrees this week Celsius. For the Tupinambás, that it brings the rains when it get dark and Seishu is on the horizon, it brings the rains. And Mercury is called Pirapanen, and it says that there's no time to fish when they see Mercury have information about the eclipse. Here the moon is called, the eclipse, the lunar eclipse is called Jaseipuiton. They have two different names for the lunar and solar eclipse. Venus, Yaseitatawasu. So I will go back in some stories later just to show some that we know about Brazilian indigenous population. And again, it's different for each tribe, each culture, but some of them start the year with Seishu or the Pleiades. So when Seishu is in the horizon, it's the beginning of the year. So it's not like we decided to count our year. They have their calendar based on one tribe, on the Pleiades. The Milky Way is the tapir way, and the tapir is the black spots in the Milky Way. It's not a constellation made of stars, but the darker parts of the Milky Way is the tapir way. Another ethnicity is the Tupi, or the Tupi Guarani, and they have three gods. Let's talk a little bit about their stories. They have three gods: the sun, the moon, and Huda. And the sun and the moon, as we saw before, they are ruling the living things, animals and vegetables. And Huda is the god of love. So Huda will say when it's time to have their children. Sorry when I miss some words in English, but Huda is the god of love. I really like that. The moon, all of the three gods, they have some demigods that help them. And the moon has four demigods: Saci Sererê, Umboitatá, Urutau, and Curupira. And they are already in our culture. So we each kid know about these demigods, but not related to the sky or the moon. All of the four are protectors of the forest. So Saci Sererê is a kid with one leg, so he's hopping around, and his power is on his red hat, but he's also very tricky. Just let me take a look on the chat. God of Love is what star open? No, it's not even a star or planet. The God of Love, Huda, is not identified in the sky. Just a god. The Umboitatá is a huge snake in fire. Urutau is a bird here. You can see a bird here. It's not the tree. He has the tree here, and Urutau is the bird here on camouflage. And Curupira is a kid that he has his feet backwards. So if a man try to capture him, will follow his footstep, but on the wrong way. That's why he has his feet on backwards. And we found some stories that are related to teach about the astronomical events, and some about moral values. This story about Kuniba and Paresi is that a girl on her tribe, every night by night, a man that she couldn't see walked inside her tent and abused her. One night she was tired of that, so she grabbed a cup with some sap. I'm trying to translate something here. A sap from a tree, very color and hard to take it off. And she put by her side during the night. When the man got inside, she put her hand inside of that and boom, on the man's face. The following morning, she asked her brother, that was the chief of the tribe, told him everything, and he called everybody in the tribe to a meeting. Maybe a virtual meeting, no. And then his brother didn't appear. He asked his guards to go bring his brother, and he found that his brother was a little color. He was the man that was going inside her tent. And stories that are hard to tell to young kids because they are often finishing with somebody dead, somebody abused and everything. And so they cut his head out, but he felt in a place of water that kept him alive. And when the chief got close to him, he asked, "Please save me." And to save him, he threw his brother on the sky, so he is the moon. The moon is the face of this man. Another tribe, the Tucano, they live in the north of Brazil, and they have a calendar based on astronomical events and on the nature, when it's time to fish, when it's time to hunt, to seed. And you can find constellations from the Tucano and the Tupi in Stellarium. Stellarium has Tucano and Tupi constellations. And here's one of them. is the jararaca of big anus. It's a huge snake, really huge snake, that when it is setting and touched the river, it swallow the fishes from its anus. And so it's time to stop fishing, because if they fish this time, they will get, it's time for the fishing reproduction. So they are not allowed to fish if they don't want to get out of fishes. Splotches. Let me try here. Oh, to the dark, and not the same, but very close. The Southern Cross is holding the emu head because it already ate 2 eggs from other birds' nest. So Alpha and Beta Centaurus are eggs that the emu already ate, and its feathers are the Milky Way. Here is a scorpion, and this is another Brazilian indigenous constellation. Another one, here we have Orion, and we can sweep it to the Old Man. Just take a look on time. The Old Man, he has just 1 leg, because this old man fell in love with a young girl, but the young girl, after the marriage, fell in love with his brother, his younger brother. And to stay together, they decided to kill the old man by cutting his leg off. Here we have the Hyades and the Pleiades here. And we have a lot of other stories from different tribes. The first stars that appear in the sky, the Bororo, say that there were very tricky kids, and they tried to cheat on their mothers, and they hide in the sky. They climbed a piece of vine and got up to the sky, but they couldn't. Their mothers got scared, and they were just laughing on their mothers, but they couldn't get back to the ground, and the stars are there crying. I don't know how do you call it, but they were crying, and their cry was the stars, the first stars in the sky. Tears. Thank you, Susan. Tears. And some other stories, but I will tell you in a different way. I just need my equipment that we use in the planetarium. Okay, now I'm ready. because I'm gonna talk to you about this book from a friend, from two friends, that in the beginning of the world, there was just the ocean and the sky, but there was no wind, so there was no waves in the sky. Looking carefully, we could see a big tree called jacarandá. Around this tree, a piece of vine started to grow. And as this piece of vine started to grow, the wind starts to blow and the waves appear in the ocean. Only two things we could see in the sky, two red dots. And as the wind started to blow, we could start listening to the sounds of waterfalls, the wind blowing on the trees, and some music come far away. They came from a tribe. In this tribe, a little boy called Boé really loved to look to the sky. He liked to imagine different, like a parrot, a turtle, or a crocodile. And the two red dots were always there. The two red dots were the eyes of a jaguar. A hunger. The jaguar was very hungry and was looking for something to eat. The only thing that was very appetizing for the jaguar was the moon, and Boé was in charge to protect the moon from the jaguar. But one day, Boé fell to sleep, and the jaguar came and ate the moon. Gods to bring back the moon. So the gods put their hand inside the jaguar mouth and start to bring back the moon to the sky. Everybody was very happy, especially Boé. And we tell this story in the planetarium, inside and outside the dome, as the way the Indians try to use it to tell about the youngers, about lunar eclipse. And before finishing, last the book is the name of the book. The book is in Portuguese, and in Portuguese the word contar means tell, but means count too. So there is a trick here that will not appear in English, but it's telling stories and counting stars. And I will ask the girl that wrote that if she wouldn't like to make an English version, and I will let you know. And last year, as the International Year of Indigenous Languages, we started the year before studying the Kaigang. Thank you. So it would be recount stories and recount stars. And we started to work with the Kaingang, that is a tribe that lives close to, in my state, close to my city. And because they were losing their contact with the language. So we started to produce a planetarium show on the Kaigang culture. And the idea was to do that in Portuguese and also in Kaigang, and use the planetarium as a tool to bring back their language to the younger, because they live very close to white people and they just started losing contact with their mother language. So thank you. And I don't know if I missed some questions here. I guess no. Valentine's Day, it would be nice.
Guilherme, you have a few minutes if people have questions.
Yeah, honestly, it would be nice. You said you would ask if we could get an English version of the book. I would see if you could be willing to do like you just did for us, present it in English with the visuals. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I can recount, I can ask her too. If I have tried virtual shows for my storytelling, we started with virtual shows, but not yet with this story. But yes, we are thinking about these and other stories too. As I told you, Stellarium has two sets of constellations, the Tupi and the Tucano. Record something in English. I can try. I can try. You can write me. Here's my email address, or you can find me on Facebook and everything. Just call me and we can plan something together. Oh yes, John, it's everything upside down. Not for me, for you.
I would just like to say that Guilherme was my guest last year in Wyoming, and he presented in our planetarium and at schools, and he does a fabulous job. So I would highly encourage you to reach out to him virtually so that he can share his culture with you.